The plane was falling, fast, and Riley Thornhart was bleeding. She couldn't feel her hands, couldn't tell if the cold clinging to her skin was sweat, blood, or just fear. Her forehead hit the seat in front of her, hard, a flash of pain, a copper taste in her mouth. Something was torn open inside her ribcage. She could feel it, deep, wet. People were screaming all around her. Metal was groaning like a dying animal, a sound no machine should ever make. But all Riley could think was, this is how it ends. Not in a hospital, not in a warm bed, not with someone holding her hand. Just like this, torn apart in the air, rejected, alone. She blinked through blood-smeared lashes as the oxygen masks dropped. Yellow, useless, dangling. The flight attendant was crying now. No script left to follow, just panic, and panic was contagious. The man across the aisle clutched his phone like a lifeline, whispering, "I love you, I love you, I love you," on repeat like it could change the outcome. The old woman beside Riley was praying, her lips moving too fast to understand, eyes shut tight against the horror. But Riley? She wasn't praying. Because the gods hadn't listened before, why would they start now? 12 days ago, she was a Luna to be, or so she thought. 12 days ago, Alpha Callan Rivers had looked her in the eye in front of the entire Crescent Hollow Council and said, "I reject you," just like that. Like she was garbage, like the last 6 years of their bond hadn't mattered, like the mark on her neck didn't still burn with his name. He didn't even flinch. And then, he'd turned to Celeste Vale, smiled. The kind of smile Riley hadn't seen in months. Maybe never. He kissed her in front of everyone, sealing a new bond that ripped Riley's soul into pieces. Her wolf broke, silently, completely. She collapsed that night, spent 3 days in the PAX hospital, barely clinging to the edge of herself. And when she got out, she bought a one-way ticket and left the territory behind. No note, no goodbyes. Just gone. Because sometimes survival looks like escape. Another jolt, harder this time. The plane dropped like a rock, cabin lights flickering red. Riley's stomach flipped. Gravity was gone. Screams turned to silence. Shock, maybe. Acceptance. Outside the window, nothing but black clouds and snow. A wilderness with no end. She thought of the test in her bag. The 2 pink lines. She hadn't even looked at it twice. Just stuffed it into her carry-on like a secret that might vanish if she ignored it long enough. But it hadn't. And now, here they were, falling. Her, and the baby she hadn't told a soul about. Callan's baby. A baby he'd never wanted. A baby she wasn't supposed to keep. Riley gasped as the cold stabbed through her chest. Every breath sharper than the last. The pain was everywhere now. Not just inside. Around her. Through her. Under her skin. "Brace!" someone shouted. Too late. The right wing tore free with a sound like thunder. Then fire. Then nothing. And when the plane hit the earth, it was like the world shattered. Silence. A ringing in her ears. Not even pain. Just absence. Smoke curled around her, thick and wet. Something was burning. She couldn't tell what. Maybe everything. Snow was falling through a hole in the ceiling. Soft, beautiful, wrong. She couldn't move. Couldn't scream. And then she felt it. Not death. Life. Small. Fragile. A flicker beneath her ribs. The baby. Still there. Still fighting. Riley blinked back tears. She didn't have the strength to cry, but she whispered anyway. Please, just let her live. She didn't know how long she lay there. Time lost meaning. Her blood soaked the seat, her breath slowed, her vision blurred. She was going to die, and maybe that would have been okay, if not for the soft kick inside her, the reminder. She wasn't alone, not yet. Then, a sound, crunching snow, heavy, measured, not human, not rescue. A growl cut through the cold, low, and guttural. Every hair on her neck stood on end. She blinked toward the noise. Eyes, silver, glowing, watching her. A man stepped from the tree line. Tall, broad, bare-chested, a crown of frost in his dark hair, snow melting against the heat of his skin. He was blood-stained, clawed, unmistakable. Alpha Axel Nightbane, the beast of the Northern Territories. The name whispered across packs like a warning. He looked down at her like she was something sacred. Broken, yes, but sacred. His nostrils flared. His jaw tightened. His eyes darkened to something feral. Then he dropped to his knees beside her and touched her pulse. She flinched. He growled. Soft, not angry. Protective. "She's alive," he murmured. His voice didn't match the monster from the legends. It was rough, but quiet. Human. Barely. Then he lifted her, like she weighed nothing. Like her blood didn't stain his hands. Like she wasn't broken. His arms were warmth and steel and violence barely leashed. And when she passed out, she didn't fall. She just faded into the sound of his heart. Want to know what happens next? Stick around. The Alpha King didn't just rescue her. He claimed her. And that's when the real danger began. Before you go, where are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments. I'd love to know where my listeners are tuning in from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Pain returned first. Sharp, cold, bone deep. Then the scent. Earth, ash, and something darker. Something alive. Riley's eyes opened to stone ceilings and shadows flickering from firelight. Her skin was wrapped in fur, thick and coarse. Her chest was bound tight. She couldn't tell if the pounding in her skull was real, or if the world was still falling around her. But she wasn't in the wreckage anymore. Someone had moved her. Saved her. She tried to sit up. Her body screamed in protest. The ribs were still broken. The stitches pulled. She bit down on a cry. That's when she heard the footsteps. Heavy, deliberate. She turned toward the door just as it opened. And he walked in. Alpha Axel Nightbane. He filled the room like a storm. 6 foot something of raw, lethal power. Dressed in nothing but dark slacks. Snow still melting in his hair, scars crawling over his chest like battle maps. And those eyes. Not just silver. Moonlit. Unforgiving. Watching her like a puzzle he meant to break open with his bare hands. He didn't say a word. Just stared. Her breath hitched. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. "Where?" she rasped. "You're safe." His voice was gravel. A statement, not comfort. Riley didn't feel safe. She felt seen. Too much. She sank back into the bed, clutching the edge of the blanket, suddenly aware of every inch of skin, every exposed weakness. "Why am I here?" she managed. "You were dying in the snow. I don't let things die on my land." That didn't sound like kindness. It sounded like law. And he was the one who made the law. She swallowed. "The baby?" "In the next room," he said. Alive. Loud. Her chest cracked open again. A mix of relief and ache. The baby was alive. But how? No hospitals. No healers, just snow, blood, and pain. She looked at him, really looked. His arms, his chest, his hands. He'd carried her and the baby, through a blizzard, across territory lines, into his own home. Why? Why did you save me? He tilted his head, then stepped forward, slow and silent, until the space between them vanished. She could smell him now. Smoke, pine, old power. His wolf was just under the surface, close, curious. "You don't know what you are, do you?" he said softly. Her pulse skipped. "I'm no one." His jaw flexed. "Don't lie." Riley looked away, suddenly cold despite the firelight. "I'm not his mate anymore," she whispered. "He rejected me. I'm not anything now." The room went still. Then Axel spoke, every word like gravel on stone. "That scar on your neck, the way it smells. He didn't reject you properly. He butchered the bond." She blinked. "What?" "It's still there," he growled. "Twisted, damaged. You feel hollow because he left it to rot." Her breath caught. Suddenly the pain made sense. The numbness, the silence of her wolf. "She hasn't spoken since," she whispered. "Of course not. He didn't set her free. He caged her." He was close now, closer than anyone had been in days. Her body reacted before her brain did, every cell going tight, alert. Then he said it. "You're mine now." She flinched. "No," she breathed. "I'm not. I won't be anyone's again." Axel didn't look angry. He looked amused, dangerous. "I'm not asking," he said. Then he turned and walked away like it was already settled. The door closed behind him with a quiet finality. Riley stared after him, and for the first time since the crash, she realized she hadn't escaped the fire. She'd walked straight into the wolves' den, but Axel wasn't the only one watching her. And this fortress wasn't just a place of protection. It was a trap, and something in the shadows wanted her child. The walls were breathing. That's what it felt like. Riley stood barefoot in the middle of the stone corridor, wrapped in nothing but a fur-lined cloak, her fingertips brushing against the cold wall as if it might pulse again beneath her skin. Something in this place was alive, watching her, responding to her. Her wounds should have kept her in bed. Deep slashes across her ribs, bruised lungs, a fractured arm. But they were healing. Fast. Too fast. She'd barely been conscious 2 days ago. Now, her bones whispered when she moved. Her blood buzzed under the surface. Her senses were sharpening. Too loud, too bright, too much. Something was changing inside her, and she didn't know if it was her wolf or something darker. Footsteps echoed behind her. She didn't turn. She already knew it was him. Axel Nightbane moved like a storm held together by muscle and restraint. He didn't speak right away, just stepped in close enough for the heat of his body to burn against her spine. "You shouldn't be up," he said quietly. "I shouldn't be alive," she answered. He didn't deny it. She turned to face him, and for a second, neither of them breathed. His eyes flicked over her, neck, shoulders, scars, not as a man, as a predator, assessing, marking, claiming without touching. Riley stepped back, pulse hammering. Her voice was low, but sharp. "Why is my body healing like this?" Axel studied her. "You were bleeding out when I found you," he said. "Dead weight in a snowbank. But your wounds closed faster than any Omega I've seen." "I'm not a warrior," she said. "No," he agreed. You're something else. He stepped toward her. One slow, deliberate movement, then another. Her back hit the wall before she realized she was retreating. His voice dropped lower, rougher. Where were you born, Riley? She blinked. What? Your pack. Your mother's side, your father's bloodline. What do you know? She swallowed. My parents were killed when I was a kid. Rogues. Crescent Hollow took me in. I was a foster. Low rank. No legacy. No legacy doesn't explain that. He nodded toward her arm. Riley looked down. Her skin was glowing, just faintly. But under the surface, silver threads moved like ink in water. She staggered away from the wall, heart racing. What the hell is happening to me? Axel didn't look surprised. He looked like he'd expected this. Something in you was dormant, and the crash woke it up. A low rumble shook the stones under their feet, distant, subtle, but real. Riley looked up. What was that? The wards, Axel said. They just activated. He moved past her toward the hall's end, muttering something in a language she didn't know. Riley followed, every nerve on fire. They turned a corner, and she stopped cold. The runes carved into the wall were glowing, silver, bright, alive, and they were moving, reacting to her, not to Axel, to her. I thought this place was abandoned, she whispered. It was, he said, until you showed up. She stared at the pulsing symbols, the way they curved and twisted as if trying to read her, or speak to her. I don't understand. You will, he said, and then he turned to her with eyes like knives. But understand this first. Someone wants you dead. The crash? That wasn't a malfunction. Riley's breath caught. I thought they sent you to die, Riley. That plane was tampered with. Her stomach dropped. You're sure? Axel stepped closer. I found claw marks in the wreckage. Not human, not mine. Her knees almost gave out. Who would have done that? Why? She wasn't anyone. Not important. Not royal. Not powerful. Unless she was wrong. Unless everything she believed about herself was a lie. And someone out there already knew the truth. Outside the fortress walls, the snow was shifting, and something ancient was crawling toward her scent. The front gates shook, not from wind, from power. Riley heard it before she saw it. A low, guttural rumble like stones splitting under pressure, the kind of sound that made wolves stiffen without knowing why. She stood near the upper landing, cold fingers gripping the iron railing, heart pounding. Below, wolves were gathering in the courtyard, silent, alert. And then she saw him. Not Axel. Callan. He walked through the gate like he still ruled the world. Same golden hair, same perfect smile. The same cold arrogance that once made her believe he was untouchable. Now? He looked like rotten silk. 2 enforcers flanked him, lean, armed, faces painted in war ink. They didn't belong here. Not in the north. Not in Axel's territory. But they came anyway. Because Callan wanted her back. Riley's chest tightened. Not in fear. In fury. He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't even be breathing. He rejected her. Left her to rot. Burn, die. But now he was standing in the Alpha King's stronghold like it was his to invade. She turned and headed for the stairs fast. Her body still ached, but adrenaline shoved the pain aside. She had to see Axel. She found him just past the main hall, alone, bare-chested, blood still drying on his forearm. He was already walking toward the gate. "They're here for you," he said without turning. "I didn't ask him to come." Axel's eyes flicked to hers. "Doesn't matter. You're mine now." 3 words. quiet, final, not romantic, feral. They stepped out into the courtyard together. The air felt sharp, electric, like a storm waiting for a spark. Callan saw her. His face changed. Just for a second. Shock, then pride, then possession. "Riley," he called. Her name sounded wrong in his mouth. "You look better." Axel didn't flinch, but something in the ground seemed to tighten. Callan took a slow step forward. "I didn't know you survived." "You didn't check," she said. He shrugged. "I thought you were dead. That's why I'm here. Closure." "Liar." Axel's voice cut through the cold. "You crossed my border for closure?" Callan smiled. "I came to collect what's mine." Riley's breath caught. She felt every pair of eyes in the courtyard shift. Axel didn't move, didn't growl, didn't shout. He just stepped forward and said, clear as frost, "She was never yours." Callan scoffed. "I marked her." Axel nodded. "And then you rejected her, publicly, improperly." "Doesn't matter. The bond's broken." Axel's smile was razor thin. "Only you broke it halfway. You left it poisoned, unhealed. You left her sick." Callan's face twitched. She was weak. She failed to shift, failed to carry rank. I did what was best for the pack. "You did what was best for you," Axel said. "And now you're in my territory, speaking about my mate. I should rip your tongue out." The words weren't loud, but every wolf in the yard took a step back, except Callan. He looked at Riley again, eyes narrower, crueler. "You're seriously letting him touch you?" She lifted her chin. "I let you break me," she said. "But I never let you have me." That did it. Callan moved first, fast, a blur of claws and teeth lunging across the snow-dusted stone. But Axel was faster. He caught him mid-strike, one hand around Callan's throat, the other slamming him into the courtyard floor with a sound like thunder. Bones cracked. Callan roared. Axel didn't flinch. He bent low, voice calm, lethal. "You should have left her in peace." Then he sank his claws into Callan's chest. Not to kill, to mark him. A single brutal slice. Deep, permanent, alpha to alpha. "You're done," Axel said. He threw him back toward the gates like garbage. "Go home, Callan." Callan staggered to his feet, clutching his chest, blood soaking his perfect shirt. His eyes found Riley one last time, but there was no recognition in them now. Just rage and fear. He turned and vanished into the trees. The gates slammed shut behind him, and the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was loaded. Every wolf in the fortress had seen what just happened, and Riley, she wasn't invisible anymore. She was standing beside the most dangerous alpha alive, and he'd just declared her his. But the moment Callan crossed that border, he woke something older. And now, Riley's blood wasn't just cursed. It was wanted. The dream didn't feel like a dream. Riley was standing in a circle of black stone, cold, slick, endless. The air was thick, humming with energy she couldn't explain. Above her, the moon wasn't full. It was cracked, bleeding silver. And in the distance, voices, not human, not wolves, not anything she recognized. They weren't calling her name. They were chanting it. She gasped awake, covered in sweat. Back in the fortress, alone. Heart pounding so hard it echoed in her ears. The fire was out. The room was freezing. Her breath came in fogged bursts. But the mark on her neck, the faded scar from Callan's rejection, it burned. Not like a wound, like it was reactivating. She tore off the blanket, stumbled to the mirror in the far corner. It was glowing. The scar. A faint silver shimmer, pulsing beneath her skin, like something ancient trying to surface. She touched it. Pain lanced up her spine, sharp, blinding, alive. She dropped to her knees. Her wolf wasn't just stirring. It was clawing to be let out. A knock hit the door, hard. Then it opened without waiting. Axel stepped inside, eyes glowing, shirtless, boots tracked with snow. His face went still the moment he saw her. "You felt it too," he said. It wasn't a question. Riley stood, unsteady. "What is this?" He stared at her scar. "It's trying to finish what he started." She backed up. "You said the bond was broken." "It wasn't clean," he said. "But it's more than that now." He crossed the room, grabbed a vial from the shelf, crushed it in his palm. A wave of scent filled the air. Her scent. But something was off. "You're changing," he said. "Faster than you should." She gritted her teeth. "You think I don't feel that?" "I think," he said slowly, "you're not who you thought you were." He crouched beside her, gaze locked on hers. The scar, the healing, the reaction to the ruins. He paused. "The fortress has only awakened like that once before." "When?" she asked, barely breathing. He looked at her like he was seeing something dangerous. "When my mother stepped into it, the night she was named Moonchosen." Riley recoiled. "I'm not royalty. I'm not blessed. I was barely tolerated in my pack." "Then why are the ancient runes marking you?" Axel growled. "Why is your blood responding to wards carved 1,000 years ago?" She didn't have an answer. Only questions. Only the weight of something rising in her veins like smoke before a fire. Suddenly, crack. A mirror on the far wall shattered, untouched. Glass sprayed across the stone like thrown stars. Riley stared at her hands. She hadn't moved, but her fingers were tingling, cold, sharp, burning from the inside. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. Axel stood. "The part of you they tried to bury, your wolf, your bloodline, it's waking up." She shook her head. "No, I'm not." "You are," he said. "And whatever they wanted you dead for, it wasn't weakness. It was fear." Silence. Then a knock at the outer chamber door. Fast. Urgent. Axel's beta, Dax, shoved the door open, face tight. "They found the wreckage." Axel stiffened. "And?" Dax hesitated. Then, it was marked. A symbol carved into the fuselage. Before the crash. Riley stepped closer. "What kind of symbol?" Dax looked at her, eyes wide. A crescent claw, burned into the metal. Axel's face went cold. "Morai!" The name hit the room like ice. "Who is that?" Riley asked. "The one who's been watching you," Axel said. "The one who made Callan do it." Riley's breath caught. Everything in her wanted to run, but her feet didn't move. Her wolf was howling now, quietly, just under the surface. Not in fear, in warning. The man who sent her to die wasn't her mate. He was something older, something darker. And now, he knew she lived. Riley didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of the bed, fingers clenched in the thick fur blanket, watching the fire die out inch by inch. Every time she blinked, the dream came back. The cracked moon, the chant, the silver bleeding down her arms like ink. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory her blood hadn't known it carried, and now it was waking up. By morning, her scar was gone. Just gone. The skin where Callan had marked and rejected her was smooth, pale, untouched. No proof, no bond, no belonging. And yet, her power felt louder, like the silence he left behind had been filled with something older, something that didn't care about rank or pack. Only blood, only the moon. The door opened. Axel didn't knock. He never did. He stepped inside like it was his room too. He saw her face, then her neck. His jaw tightened. "It's begun," he said. She looked down at herself. "You said it would come back." "I said it would try," he answered. "But it didn't. It's gone. The mark's been replaced." "By what?" He stepped forward slowly, like getting too close to her now meant taking a risk. "By your real bloodline." Riley stood. The floor beneath her bare feet felt warmer. She didn't know if that was the stone or her. She looked him in the eyes. "I don't know who I am anymore." Axel's voice dropped. "You were born to be forgotten, raised to survive. And now, you're becoming something they tried to erase." A knock at the chamber door. No one moved. Then it opened. Isolde, her face pale, her hands shaking slightly, though she tried to hide it behind her robes. "The runes are shifting again," she said. "They're calling for her." "Calling?" Riley repeated. Isolde nodded. "The sacred chamber. It hasn't opened in 50 years, but this morning it did." "Why?" Axel looked at Riley. "Because something inside it recognizes you." They crossed the courtyard in silence. Wolves watched her now, differently. Not with suspicion, with wariness, deference, fear. She felt it in their stares. They could sense the shift. She wasn't just the girl who'd survived a crash. She was becoming something the fortress hadn't seen in generations. The chamber doors were massive, carved with ancient sigils, long faded. But now, they were glowing, silver and white, pulsing in time with Riley's breath. As she stepped forward, the air changed. Thicker, heavier. Not magic. Presence. Something in this room was alive. She crossed the threshold. The moment her feet hit the stone, a low howl echoed through the walls. Her knees buckled. Not from fear, from memory. Visions hit her like waves. A woman in white with blood down her hands. A circle of wolves kneeling before a throne made of bones. A voice whispering her name in a tongue no one had spoken in centuries. "You are not claimed. You are not broken. You are chosen." She collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. The rune below her hands lit up, white fire wrapping her fingers, tracing her skin. She gasped, eyes wide. But the pain didn't come. Only clarity, only her wolf, awake, snarling, alive, whole, and nothing like she remembered. Axel entered the chamber, slow and silent. He watched her from a distance. Then, without speaking, he lowered to one knee. Riley looked at him, heart pounding. "What are you doing?" "You've stepped where no wolf has stepped in half a century," he said. "This room is sacred." "And it bowed to you." She shook her head. "I don't want to be a symbol." "You don't have a choice." She stood slowly. "Then I'm not kneeling to anyone either." Axel's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Good," he said, "because they're coming." The sacred chamber had chosen her. Now the old magic would awaken across the land, and every enemy she didn't know she had would know exactly where to find her. The sky cracked open. Lightning, but not natural. It was black, shadow lightning, ripping through the clouds like claw marks from another world. Riley stood on the outer ramparts, wind cutting at her face. The scent hit her a second before the howl. Not wolf, not alive. Rot, iron, burning ash. Axel's voice snapped through the dark. "They're here!" She turned, and the fortress gates began to rumble. Wolves were shouting. Archers scrambled into position. Steel was drawn. The air thickened with old magic. And through it all, Riley felt cold fingers press against her spine, like something ancient had just opened its eyes and seen her. Dax ran up the steps. 5 rogues, twisted, corrupted. Not right! They're not shifting like us! Axel's jaw tightened. Send no one out yet. Hold the line. He turned to Riley, eyes gleaming in the stormlight. If this is who I think it is, you don't face it. Not yet. Who is it? She asked. A pause, then one name. Morai. The same name from the plane wreckage. The one who marked the fuselage before it ever crashed. He's a warlock, Axel said. Exiled. Not by witches. By wolves. Riley's breath stilled. He's not just watching you anymore, Axel continued. He's calling for you. The gates blew open, not shattered, peeled. The metal twisted outward, like it had obeyed. And there he stood. Morai. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like a man who forgot how to be human. Long dark coat, black hair, pale skin stretched too tight across his face. His eyes weren't eyes at all, just smoke. Behind him, the rogues crawled out of the woods, half-shifted, broken. Their bones jutted in wrong places. Their mouths foamed silver. They weren't alive. They were puppets. Morai raised a hand. Bring her to me, he whispered. The rogues surged forward. Axel roared. Wolves leapt from the walls. Steel met teeth. Magic met flesh. The fortress became a war zone. Riley stepped back, hands trembling. Not from fear, from something rising inside her. A heat that wasn't fire, a pressure that wasn't air, a whisper inside her skull. Let me out, her wolf. Fully awake and waiting, Morai's eyes locked on her, even through the chaos. You were meant to die in that plane, he said. I paid for your grave. I marked your death. And yet, his head tilted, curious. You lived. Riley took one step forward. I did. Her voice shook the stone under her. Runes flared to life along the walls. The air pulsed like a heartbeat. The storm above twisted, lightning striking the ground in a perfect ring around the fortress. Axel turned toward her, blinking through blood and smoke. What are you doing? He growled. Riley's voice didn't waver. Ending this. She stepped onto the battlefield, and the storm followed her. Wolves moved aside. Even the rogues hesitated. Morai's smile slipped. Ah, he said. There you are. She was supposed to be dead. He was supposed to be untouchable. But now, they were face to face, and only one of them was walking away. Riley moved like the wind had chosen her. Every step lit the earth. The runes along the stone flared with each heartbeat, silver lines stretching out from her bare feet like veins through the fortress. She wasn't breathing heavy. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't the same woman who boarded that plane. She was something else now. Morai felt it too. His smirk faded. That easy confidence cracking beneath her silence. You shouldn't be standing, he said. She didn't answer. You shouldn't even exist. Still, no answer. But her eyes were burning now. Full silver, pure wolf, no hesitation. He raised a hand. Dark magic shot toward her, black mist, sharp as broken glass. She didn't dodge. She let it hit. Pain tore through her chest. Hot. Crushing. But she didn't fall. She absorbed it. Her body arched, teeth clenched, but something inside her broke open. And through that break, her wolf erupted. Not in fur, not in fang, in fire. Pure silver flame exploded from her skin, light devouring the darkness, crackling across the ground like a living thing. Morai stumbled back, shielding his face. "What are you?" he spat. She spoke for the first time. "I'm what you tried to kill." The fire didn't fade. It followed her. She lifted her hand. The flame bent with it, a blade made of moonlight. Morai raised both hands now, chanting in a tongue soaked with blood and bone. The corrupted rogue snarled, charging forward again. But this time, she didn't flinch. She called their names, and they stopped. Every one of them. They stood in the snow, bodies twitching, caught between the warlock's grip and hers. Because her power didn't just destroy, it remembered. Axel watched from the edge of the fight. His wolves circled the fortress, protecting its edge, but none moved closer to her. Because even he could feel it now. She wasn't just chosen. She was divine. Morai screamed, blood spraying from his mouth as the power in Riley's voice slammed into him. She didn't shout. She whispered. But the magic hit like thunder. "You don't own me. You never did." She stepped closer, eyes locked on him. Flame traced her arms. Runes burned along her spine. And her wolf, no longer caged, spoke inside her like a second voice. "Finish it." She raised both hands. Light surged from her fingers, silver and violent. Morai tried to run. Too late. The fire wrapped around his chest, dug through his bones, cracked open the magic hiding in his veins. He screamed as it lit him from the inside. Not burning flesh, burning power. Everything he stole, everything he cursed, ripped out of him in a flash of moonlight and vengeance. Then, silence. Ash. Gone. The storm stopped. Just like that. The clouds broke. The wolves stepped back from the battlefield, eyes wide. And Riley? She stood in the center of it all, not shaking, not crying, just breathing. Steady, alive, whole. He was supposed to end her story. But all he did was light the match. And now, the world would burn to remember her name. The battlefield steamed, snow melted to mud, magic burned to silence. And Riley stood in the middle of it all, fire still licking at her fingertips. The wolves didn't cheer. They didn't howl. They knelt, one by one, not to the Alpha King, to her. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Her breath came in slow, shallow bursts. Every inch of her body ached. But it wasn't the kind of pain that asked for rest. It was the kind that came after being reborn. Axel approached her like he was stepping into a storm. His eyes never left hers, and hers never looked away. "You shouldn't have survived that," he said quietly. "I didn't," she answered, and they both knew it was true. The version of Riley that boarded that plane, she was dead. This woman, this wolf, was something else, something old. Behind her, the fortress pulsed. The runes across the walls still glowed faintly, whispering in languages no one remembered. She could feel the power humming beneath the stone, and for the first time, she didn't flinch from it. She stood in it, owned it, became it. "You don't have to stay here," Axel said suddenly. Her brow lifted. "What? You're not mine to keep? You're not claimed? Not bound? Not caged?" He took one step closer, his voice dropped. "But if you stay, the North will follow you. The packs, the sacred places, the ones who've waited for your kind to rise again." Riley exhaled, a slow, steady breath, not from fear, from clarity. "They won't follow me," she said. "They already are," he answered. She looked past him, at the wolves who once glared, now, kneeling, at the moon rising clean and full overhead, at the forest beyond the gate, where her death had been planned and her power had awakened. "I never wanted a crown," she said softly. "Good," Axel said, "because this isn't a crown." He looked around them, at the ruin, the ash, the blood. "This is a throne made from fire." She stepped forward, past Axel, past the wolves, into the heart of the fortress, and the wind shifted with her. Because she wasn't running anymore. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was choosing, and the world would follow that choice, whether it bowed to her or burned. But far beyond the north, beneath a ruined temple buried in ice, something else had felt her rise, and it had begun to stir. Because Riley's story was never meant to end here. It was only ever meant to begin. She was supposed to die broken and forgotten, but the wolves didn't bury her. They woke her up, and now the bloodline that died in fire is alive again. The snow had stopped falling hours ago, but the wind hadn't. It howled through the pine-covered cliffs like a song no one remembered the words to. A song for ghosts, for survivors. Riley stood at the edge of the highest tower of the northern fortress, barefoot on frost-covered stone. Her breath curled in the air like smoke, but she wasn't cold. Not anymore. The woman who once shivered, broken and abandoned, was gone, buried in the wreckage, burned in the fire. What remained was something else entirely. Her fingers brushed her collarbone where the old scar had lived, the rejection mark, gone now. No pain, no memory, just silence. But she could still feel its echo sometimes, in the back of her mind. Not as weakness, not anymore, as fuel. The fortress behind her had changed, or maybe she had. Since the battle, the wolves spoke her name with reverence, or fear, sometimes both. She didn't correct them, didn't explain, let the silence do what no title could. She wasn't Luna, wasn't Queen, and yet they bowed. A soft knock came from behind. She didn't move. Axel stepped forward, stopping a few feet from her. His presence didn't weigh heavy like it used to. It didn't threaten. It watched. Waited. He didn't speak at first. He rarely did unless words mattered. Then, "You still haven't slept," she nodded. Too loud in my head. He tilted his head. Voices? No, memories. Of what? She took a breath, let it burn her lungs before answering. Of what they tried to bury. He stepped beside her now, facing the forest. The same place she had once been left to die. "They're afraid of you." She gave him a sideways glance. "Are you?" "No," he said simply. "But I'm not stupid either." She gave a soft, humorless laugh. "Fair." A moment passed. He said, "You haven't asked what happens next." She didn't need to. She already knew. "Something's coming," she whispered. "Always is." She looked to the horizon. The sky was dark, but the clouds were parting. A sliver of red moonlight spilled through the break, painting the trees in bloodlight. Riley watched the glow, quiet, until her voice cracked the silence. "They thought they killed me in that plane." Axel didn't answer. "They planned it, marked it, paid for it, as if I was a problem to erase." "You were," he said. "To them." She turned toward him. "And to you?" He held her gaze, not blinking, not looking away. "You're not a problem," he said. "You're a prophecy." That stopped her breath for a moment, because she'd felt it too, ever since the sacred chamber opened, since the old language slipped across her tongue like water, since the fire in her blood no longer burned her, but others. She wasn't made to survive. She was made to ignite. That night, the raven came. It landed silently on the edge of the balcony, black feathers, eyes like starlight, and a scroll tied to its leg with a silver ribbon. Riley froze. The wolf inside her growled low, not in anger, in memory. She untied the scroll slowly, like it might bite. There was no seal, no name, only a symbol, a crown, split straight down the center, wreathed in silver fire, and beneath it, a sentence written in an ancient dialect she somehow understood. Return to the bloodline. The throne remains unclaimed. Her stomach dropped. She didn't speak, didn't move. Axel stepped forward, reading over her shoulder. He didn't ask what it meant, because he already knew. The blood court, he said. The lost bloodline of the moon chosen. It's not lost, she whispered. He looked at her, and her eyes glowed silver. Riley folded the letter and placed it against her heart, then turned, walking slowly back into the fortress. The storm was over, but the war had just begun, far to the east, beyond the frozen lakes and broken kingdoms. Beneath a mountain carved by gods and forgotten by wolves, a figure cloaked in shadow stepped into a hall of ice and bone. He stood before a mirror of obsidian, cracked down the center. Inside it, a flicker of fire. Silver. Wild. Female. The figure smiled. She's alive, he whispered. A hand, burned black from ancient magic, pressed against the glass. And the final words fell from his lips like a curse wrapped in prophecy. Then she'll come for the throne.